And it was at that time I knew apple pie did not feel good in that orifice.
But it is pretty good in moonshine. Just not that moon where the sun don't shine.
Sir, that was a solid turn of phrase. I'm proud of you.
That was my best
amazing.
turd of phrase for the night.
And then you went back down.
Well,
that's cool.
I don't
You
know
had
if
your
that's
one.
actually. I don't know if that's actually going to be true. I think that you're going to have a lot of opportunities to have some well-turned phrases.
See what you did there.
You know, it's not like we have to be like showy and grandiose all the time. We can just be normal people.
You know what normal people do?
Maybe you
remember
can.
to start up their Stream Deck software.
That is sometimes that is what normal people do. Yeah.
I don't actually know if that's true. How many normal people have a Stream Deck?
How many normies are out there rocking the Stream Deck?
You know what I
think
just realized?
I think there are a bunch of cool kids that have Stream Decks.
Ooh, it's the cool kids. I wish that I could be like a cool kid.
I wonder why.
It's all the cool kids. They have Stream Deck kids.
I wonder why it is that. Hold on, where's the fucking option? There
It's just like, I'm fucking done with you guys.
There we go. Now I can fix it. Sorry, it was bugging me. I don't know if it was the same for y'all, but on my screen, I could see Daniel's headline or title, but I couldn't see mine or Josh's, and it was bugging the shit out of me, so I had to turn them off and back on.
No worries.
Which is drastically less important of a thing to do when it's our own podcast. It's more fun to do on somebody else's podcast.
True.
But
welcome, one and all, to a spectacle of delights. Today,
a spectacle of delight.
You will see things that will shock you, amaze you.
Testicles.
Huh?
Like
You'll
amazing
hear
testicles.
Things
like loud
that
testicles.
Will abhor you and entertain
like a horse
you.
testicles.
Andrew's got a lot of testicles on the brain right now.
Apparently.
Hey. I'm just trying
it's
to
the
keep
Black
the
Tower
motif.
Podcast. It's another episode of the Black Tower Podcast.
How many times can you say testicles in the first 30 seconds of a YouTube video before YouTube goes, no? Oh, boy.
You know, that's not a very scientific experiment, Josh.
I am.
If you just say it a ton of times, then we don't know where the limit is exactly. You gotta say it once at the beginning of this episode, and then do it twice at the beginning of next episode, and then 3 times.
You're not wrong.
But
also, sober would be a control. We need to do one drunk. And
it's also true.
So if we're gonna follow the scientific process here, let's follow the fucking scientific.
Let me prepare for this episode with my WhatCon brand lip balm.
Ooh. I prepared for it with my WhatCon brand fidget spinner.
I prepared for it by sitting down at my computer and turning on my camera.
Hey everybody, it is I, your Soravan Mahale, Josh, from the Black Tower Podcast.
And I'm your Bajan Mahale, Andrew, also from the Black Tower Podcast.
Oh, good.
And I am your Amin Khan Mahale, Daniel, also from the Black Tower Podcast.
It feels weird. I don't normally wear chapstick or anything like this, and so now it just feels like I have like beard oil and or beard balm on my lips.
On
and I just
your
want to
lips,
wipe it off.
Oh, that
Like,
happens all the fucking time when you have a mustache like this.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Luckily, mine's just the one thing in the morning as I'm like wiping it over the mustache. A little bit gets on the lips.
Oh yeah.
a little on the lips, forever on the hips.
But yes, so we have officially survived WatCon.
Barely.
Mostly unscathed, largely unscathed,
Good
I would say.
Lord.
In fact, we'll see. It appears that I get to enjoy more days of WatCon every year that WatCon happens that I attend. So first year got
That's
me 1
accurate.
day, second year got me 2 days, hoping that the third year gets me all 3 days, and I'm really excited for the fourth year because does that mean that I get an extra WatCon day?
Hell yeah.
Does it just keep stacking or does it reset? That's going to be
We'll
interesting to
see.
see.
We'll
Well,
see.
it also depends because I seem to remember the very first one you getting a day and a half. So if it only goes up by half days, then because I
Well, no,
remember you got
because I was
that
there
first
Friday.
night, that very first night, and then you came down for about half of Friday, and then you came down for Sunday.
Oh no, I'm only counting like actual days of the
Like
con.
actual days
Okay,
coming down.
that's fair.
Because I was downstairs most of Friday, but I only showed up to a tail end of like Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually remember all the nights this time, so that's a good thing. That's progress.
There you go.
But we survived. Normally we do like a kind of like not really review. That's not the right phrase, but we talk about our
A
experiences.
recap.
Yeah, in a way that the patrons be able to hear if we all unmuted. In a fantastic way. But we're not going to be doing that as an episode this go around. Instead, if you are listening to us live here in about an hour and 10 Minuten, that's minutes in German, but you can use those minutes in whatever language or nationality you wish. We're going to be with the lovely folks over at Twatcast talking a little bit about WatCon and then playing a game that they have devised. If you're listening to this after we've recorded this, also known as regular release schedule, go over and check out the Twatcast YouTube channel and look at their live stream from July 18th. And that is where we will talk about a bit of our WatCon experiences beyond Be Jealous that we have things like fidget spinners and fancy cloudy mugs and tokens with badgers on them that smell fucking incredible.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But all that being said, we have survived. It was a ton of fun, and we'll talk about it more later. But to go ahead and get you in the mood for this episode, the topic we're going to be covering today, before we get into who it is, or what it is, or where it is, or why it is a topic that you can find a nice, fun, spoiler-friendly wiki-style entry over at thegreatblight.com. Greatblight.com is a fantastic place to go and find a list of other content creators, whether they do music, trivia, art, podcasts, YouTube, you name it. You can find them over in a list on greatblight.com, as well as an ever hopefully expanding wiki that breaks down spoilers by book. So if you haven't finished, I don't know, if you haven't started reading The Great Hunt, you can read to the Eye of the World on a specific entry and then stop. And then you can adjust your reading as you go through the books. If you find anything that's maybe incorrect or that could be done better, or you just want to say, hey, I'd like to help or something like that, there's a nice fancy button at the top of thegreatblight.com that says see a problem / have a suggestion. Click it, and then you can provide your feedback to the lovely folks that run thegreatblight.com. Yeah. And when you're not doing that and you're welcome for all the spoilers, or you just want to see some of the pictures we're going to talk about later from WatCon, head on over to blacktowerpod.com to find all of our stuff, including Patreon, where for just as little as $1 a month, you can listen to us live over here in Discord. Invite your friends, invite your family, invite your cow, invite your house, invite everything. Just invite everybody.
All the people. Every last people you know. It's time to
All
spread
the
the
single
word
ladies,
of the Lord
all
Dragon
the single
Reborn.
ladies, all the single ladies,
Put a ring
all
on
the
it.
single ladies. Now put your hands up. There you go. That's perfect.
But and
You know what?
and
I
I forgot to
just
say
realized
with
I should start up the camera in the chat because I did go through the extra effort to learn how to make that visible for our Patreonians, and they didn't get to see my wrist flappies, but now they do. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. Yeah.
Can you imagine if that was just the whole dance for the whole song?
Just
Beyonce's just standing there in the music.
And you know
video,
what?
just like,
you know what? They'd be like, "Oh my god, Beyonce, she's so hip. How does she do it?" And everybody else is like, "Really? That doesn't."
and
work?"
Kanye would be like, Beyonce had the greatest music video of all time.
Beyonce had the greatest dance choreography of all time.
Mhm.
Oh, so fun
But-
story. Sorry, one last point on that tangent because Daniel brought it up. I blame him. Taylor Swift has eclipsed Barbra Streisand as being the female artist with the most #1 albums. So, like, now Taylor Swift is statistically outselling Barbra Streisand. Now,
All right, then.
circle that around to Kanye being fucking idiot, dumbass Kanye. Like, what do you do to that? What do you say to that? Like, now he's deluded and won't say anything. He'll just be like, I was right, and he'll be dumb. But like, I would be mortified if I told someone was like, "You're stupid. You shouldn't be winning this award." And then like, what, 5-10 years later, they're like one of the most selling artists of all time.
Well, it's amazing how much you can sell once somebody actually lets you finish.
Hey-o.
Speaking of finishing,
Well played.
we have a spoiler warning that is definitely appropriate for both that comment and today's topic. We bring you the sultry yet dulcet tones of Adalorna Sedai.
Oh, snap.
This is your official spoiler warning. This episode contains spoilers for all 14 books and the prequel. If you are still listening and you haven't read all these, you want to be spoiled, don't you? You crave it. Getting spoiled without putting in the work? Well, get ready. Here it comes.
Man.
And if you want to throw your hat in the ring to see how saucy your spoiler warning can be, become a patron. Send it to
That's
us
true.
via email or send us a Discord message or really however you want to send it to us. And barring it being incredibly egregious, we will use it in an episode.
And when
Feel free to
someone
mention
from-
origins and everything.
when someone from the Black Tower says, barring it being incredibly egregious, if we say it's incredibly egregious, it's incredibly egregious. Like, we push the boundaries a lot. Like, so just
Yeah.
Though
But-
I don't know, I have this nice badge of honor that there was an adult film star at WatCon who said multiple occasions that the Wheel of Time fandom made her blush. So I think we're doing a good job. I think we are exactly where we need to be.
yeah, that is true. At WatCon, as many of you know, London River was there. And she sent out a tweet, which was a lot of fun. And she was like, damn, Wheel of Time, you horny.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about how she was trying to be all nice and behave. And everybody else around her is like, innuendo here.
Input taint joke.
And there's a lot of sexy conversation. She was not prepared for it. She had the time of her life, though. And yeah, good times.
Speaking of good times and times of your lives and the naughtiness and the adultiness, after this comment from Daniel.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and I was really impressed because, like, I knew she was a big fan, but she knows her shit.
Yeah,
too. Like,
no, she's smart.
she
as
has
fuck.
read the books plenty of times to like really get in there. And so we had this, fascinating discussion about Gawain because it always fucking happens. And she had a lot to say that was like really good, like on point, very book related stuff. So like again, I'm not surprised because like she already started to show a little bit of that at the Gathering Madness last year. But just like every time you peeling back another layer of her knowledge, you're just like, God damn, That's awesome.
She wicked smart.
Indeed. Oh,
What?
I see you from Tia.
What is our topic? What is our topic for this show there, Daniel?
So today we are doing another one in our long-ish line of our background breakdowns. These are episodes where we talk about a particular character that is not one of the main characters in the series, of which there are quite a number. And we talk about sort of more the secondary or tertiary characters that really help make the books work. The ones that fill out the world, the ones that do certain tasks that the heroes wouldn't be able to get away with on their own, or at least give them the opportunity or the atmosphere to do some of the craziest things that they do, and really help out the story in a sort of behind the scenes way. Some of them are a little bit more obvious when it comes right down to it. I mean, we've done characters like Talmanes, who at some point in the books it goes full badass and kills 2 Murdral and gets stabbed by a Thakandar blade and
Twice.
is the leader of the dragons that they use at the end of the books in the last battle. And sometimes it's a little less obvious, like Aludra being the one behind the dragons. She doesn't actually really use them that much later on in the books, but she's the reason that they exist at the end. And so today we thought we would jump into another character along those lines and talk about everyone's favorite, most well-turned calf. The greatest showman should be played by Hugh Jackman, Valen Luca, and his traveling show and magnificent display of marvels and wonders.
Whoa! Ladies
So,
and gents,
I want to start this off with maybe one of the best Wikipedia style entries that I have seen as of recent. And so this one is going to be from the Great Blight entry on Valen Luca. And when you scroll down to where they start breaking down what Valen Luca does during the books, of course, in chronological order, not publishing order, which makes me sad because that means New Spring is first. And it shouldn't be. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I saying as somebody that hasn't read it. The very first entry is actually actions before the story. And it reads, though logic dictates that Valen Luca was born and grew up, no mentions of his actions are made. And I just love that saying. Like, so another lovely thing is, I think what.fandom.com wiki does this as well. But towards the top of the Great Blight article, we also get to see the article's author. So this one is Katsarita. So kudos to you for that very chuckle-worthy entry. I love it.
Indeed.
Logic does dictate that he was born and grew up.
I don't know. I feel like Valen Luca may have just popped fully formed from the head of some performer in the Age of Legends and is just a fae running around pretending to be human.
Somebody's dream that made it through like a gateway or something.
Right.
What if he's another one of the creator's avatars?
No.
Hear me out.
The fuck out of here. No.
His job is to spread joy and positivity to better arm the people in the ways of the light.
No.
I'm going with it. You guys can't.
No motherfucker this obnoxious would be the creator in human form.
Or would he? Because that's the last. You're telling me Nakomi was not obnoxious as hell to Avienda at that little fire where they shared tea, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna answer your question by not answering your question."
There was many times that I wish Valen Luca would answer a question by just not answering the question. Or better yet, just shutting up.
I mean...
And we might have lost Daniel temporarily.
Oh, I was about to say, Is that side eye or did he get frozen?
I was like, he's really giving you the gaze right now. Okay, there he goes. He's back.
He's really upset with that theory.
Yeah, I was like, that's a really long, hard, disappointed dad-like stare. Oh, it might be a little spotty for now.
My computer apparently really doesn't like the internet that I'm on right now, so we're gonna fix that.
Or just really doesn't like Josh's like insinuation about Valen Luca being an avatar of the creator.
Daniel's
Computer. I'm not saying that's not
happy with
also
this.
possible, but you know.
But also,
Anyway.
you're saying it's not possible. I get it. No,
So you're saying there's a chance.
The easiest way to summarize most of the entries on the Great Blight is as follows. Valen Luca does not appear in this book and has no notable references. That is what the wiki has to say about Eye of the World, the Dragon Reborn, the Shadow Rising, Lord of Chaos, A Crown of Swords, the Gathering Storm, and essentially a Memory of Light, though there is a reference from a Memory of Light to a former member of his traveling show working as a city guard in Ebu Dar. So when it comes specifically to Valen Luca, he's not even in the last book. Yeah. So there's a lot of books that he's not in, and there's no notable references made, but there are some pretty significant instances where Valen Luca is quite a member of the story. And let's go with that. He's
wow.
That's actually one of the reasons that, you know, he's in this particular breakdown series, because he's not in very many of the books. But the 2 times that he shows up, he's kind of important. And not, again, this is one of those things where Valen Luca, totally forgettable. He's absolutely not somebody who actually personally does stuff that is amazing for the story. But you know what he does do? Builds a pretty solid circus that is the hiding place for our heroes multiple times. Therefore, Valen Luca sets up the way that our heroes survive in multiple ways, and I think that's pretty significant.
Would you say he's a lesser, like a tertiary or lesser Bail Doman?
What?
I think I
wouldn't put him and Bail Doman in the same sentence.
I was gonna say I can see what you're doing there.
Tripped over and I just died.
Damn. I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that Valen Luca actually takes that trope. Because Bail Doman does that very much in the first book. The spray is how Matt and Tom and Rand get from point A to point B undetected. And I agree with that. But since Valen Luca never really turns into anything more, I would probably say that I again would also not really put them in the same sentence. Because I feel like Valen Luca takes the reins from Bail Doman so that Bail can go be an awesome character. And Valen Luca is just has those reins then forever, where he's just like, okay, I'm plot device. Like,
but that's kind of my point. That's why I'm saying he's like a lesser version of that. Mm-hmm. Because at some point in time, he provides, actually a couple of times, he provides necessary plot advancement and protection for our heroes.
Well, the atmosphere he creates.
The biggest
That's
difference.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, well, there is that. They are 2 different people for sure.
Because Valen Luca himself never really does anything worth noting. But he sets up an atmosphere for the heroes to do things that they need to do.
Okay, are you saying he never does anything worth noting in the same sense that, like, Bail Doman marries a Shan Chan woman and goes and fights in Tarmangaiden and stuff like that? What do you mean by he does nothing of note?
Valen Luca does not forward the story. Valen Luca just walks around with his circle or with his circus and goes, I just want to make some money off the people in my circus, and I'm just looking for a place to set down roots to make money with my circus.
Would you
he
say
never becomes a character who actually does anything worthy of putting him in the history books? But he does set up an atmosphere where our heroes can do some of the things that they need to do to change the world, which is why I think he's worthy of getting a background breakdown, even though he himself is not really anything special.
I don't know. I would say he winds up serving like the same purpose as like, I don't know, Tylan's Palace without the climactic confrontation at the end that actually made it worthwhile reading.
Well, that's the inspiration for the background breakdown. Is there are people in the Wheel of Time whose sole purpose is to transport the heroes from point A to point B, whether that be through, traveling to one place or another, whether that be reaching some sort of emotional situation, whether that be reaching some sort of intellectual situation. Like there's a lot of these background characters, and which again is like a theme in the books that nobody does it on their own. Nobody does it alone. You need
it was
support.
about them all.
Yeah. You need support.
It's about their balls.
It's about their balls? It
I'm
was
sorry.
about the ball.
I must have misheard. Judging by Daniel's expression, I misheard. My bad.
That's sometimes I think you hear what you want to hear.
I mean, well, for some characters, they definitely act like it was about their balls. So,
I mean,
Valen Luca's one of them.
Valen Luca is one of them. Okay, so Valen Luca, where's the first time he shows up? First time he shows up,
The Fires of
technically
Heaven,
the Great Hunt.
chapter 13.
I don't remember him being in the Great Hunt.
Well, he was at. So, okay. He's not mentioned first in the Great Hunt.
Okay.
But if you want to go within story chronology, the first time he is in the same place we see anybody, it's in the Great Hunt. But yes, he is not mentioned. We find out later that he was there.
Okay, so it's one of those like Almond Bunt type references.
Yeah, like he was at what is it, Tamaz, the Square of Tamaz, when they swore their oaths.
Damn it, Tamaz.
Promptly, in a super surprising way, he was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Well, I know that he gave Egwene and Nynaeve. I'm sorry, not Egwene and Nynaeve. Elaine and Nynaeve a ride because it was right after all that. It was was it in the Dragon Reborn? And
no, Fires of Heaven is the first time, like Daniel said, that we actually do see him by name and direct, like he's actually there on the pages, not because we find out later on that he was in this area.
And that's so Nynaeve and Elaine are
and Tom and Julian.
They're hunting the Black Aja, right? I'm not there in my reread yet, so my memory is a little cloudy. So everybody in the chat, feel free to correct me where I go in this. But I think it's funny because they're like, we'll ride with you, and that's fine. And as they like ride with them, and Nynaeve refuses to do anything, and then at the end, where they transport him through Amadisia, I want to say it is, and then like Nynaeve is all like, thanks, and Elaine's like, you need to pay him, and she's like, no, I don't. Yes, you do. You need to pay him. So Nynaeve like gives him a really stupid small amount of money, and he gets super pissed, and he's like screaming and swearing. And that's one of the reasons why he's so smug with them later on when they meet up with him again.
Yeah, but Elaine immediately turns around and is like, "I'll give you 100 gold marks."
Yeah,
which just does more to showcase her understandable naivety into the way money works amongst the common populace. Because one crown is like 10 marks. So, I mean, it's basically like 10 crowns. So, but it's still like a ton of money. Like only somebody like nobles and royalty is going to go 100 gold marks to you, random circus man. I feel bad
that's
for your
true.
plight of you weren't responsible with your aminals and caused damage, and there were repercussions. But I can use you, so here's a stupid amount of money. I mean, it makes me think of a Rand and Matt offering like all the money they had to bail Dolman on the spray, and Tom being like, "You fools!"
Yep. I could have gotten us passage with a smile and a few songs.
But yeah, so she does. She offers them like 100 gold marks to let them let their party ride with them to Geldon, and it's like you see a little bit of that. Well, I say a little bit. You see Valen Luca's like financial predatory nature come out immediately because he's like he recognizes Tom as a gleeman, and is like, I will only accept your 100 gold marks if Tom joins my performance while you're with us. And it's like, what? Like, why? Like, it's just, I think just Nynaeve is too exasperated to like resist. Julian has learned more than to open his mouth around Nynaeve when she's angry, so he's just like, not doing it. Nope, not me. Tom's just like, I really don't care. And Elaine's like, I have no concept of actual people money, so yeah, that sounds fine.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is it's like Elaine has no concept of money, just like you were saying.
God, I sound so bitter right now.
Because she's rich, right? So she's like, I can get 100 marks. What? Like, I know that's a lot of money. It'll set their head spinning, and they won't be able to refuse. And this is classic art of the negotiation. I'm going to make you an offer so good you'd be stupid to say no. And well, he didn't say no, but what he did was, by the way, I don't believe that you have that much money because I'm looking at you right now, and I don't believe you have that much money. But
oh, sorry, and Brigitte. Brigitte is with him as well.
Yes, correct. But this is when they put together their traveling.
She becomes with them while they're in the circus, rather.
That is correct.
This is when they put together their act.
Yeah, because Elaine and Julian do the tightrope, and Elaine uses talents others can't see, which in the modern day is generally considered cheating.
Yep.
But there is a little bit of like, yeah, it does kind of infer skill, and it is truly like a bit of amazing because it's kind of one of the things with the one power that you're not really. People have issues frequently supporting their own weight with the power, much less moving themselves. Which Elaine does not move herself with the one power, but she does support her own weight, like literally, with the one power with flows of air, so that she doesn't have to worry about falling off. And I'm just trying to wonder, like, how you manage to do that so that the tightrope moves and sways.
Well, so I always got the impression that she was definitely helping herself. But even by the end, she tells Nynaeve that she's not using the air flows anymore and that she's just using the tightrope. And Nynaeve's like, you dumb bitch. And she's like, I'm having fun. Leave me alone. And they're mad at each other and they're all catty and everything by the end of that because they're at each other's throats.
Yeah. Because Elaine keeps trying to throw out money like she's got plenty of it, and Nynaeve is like, no.
It's funny.
We don't have, in terms of money, we have little money. Stop spending all the money.
That's not even really true, because, like, again, neither of them is right. This is another one of those parts where I really appreciate the story of they have an entire pouch of, like, Tarvalon marks.
Yeah, they have, like, a small chest, don't they?
It's, like, a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yes.
But again, you start going from I have a lot of money to I have very little money very quickly if you act like Elaine. Now, if you also never spend a goddamn dime like Nynaeve wants to, then you got plenty of fucking money. So, like, if they just agreed between them to, like, have a happy medium, it's almost like they would, be able to be good with money and use it the way it should be used effectively. But instead, one of them is too hard and the other one's too lax. So,
The doctor said the same thing about my testicles.
one of them's too hard and the other one's too lax.
Yeah.
I love the stark contrast.
Don't you hate it when you have a lazy testicle?
Between Nynaeve and Elaine in terms of money, because Elaine is like, even in The Great Hunt, when they're in Falna trying to figure out a way to rescue Egwene, they're like, hey, what are we going to do? And Elaine's like, I know, we barely have enough money to last the week. And Nynaeve looks at her and is like, girl, we've got enough money to last like 2 months. Like, chill your shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's funny where you see this theme replay again and again and again. And especially with Elaine, she has this real air of, I'm doing it. I'm with the common people. Oh,
I'm amongst the peasantry.
I'm amongst the peasant. Isn't this exciting, Jeeves? Oh.
Yeah. Like Princess Jasmine when she runs out into like the streets of Agrabah.
Right?
Yep.
It's got some serious Princess Jasmine vibes.
But I mean, so Nynaeve has like, this is definitely one of the times where Nynaeve catches a lot of flack for seeming to be that like bitter, angry, tropey kind of person. And she is bitter and angry, but it's like one of the times where it seems to me, honestly, this might be one of the times that I relate to Nynaeve the most, because I want to stab Valen Luca all the fucking time. Because she's trying to deal.
Well-termed fucking calf.
Yeah. I want to pin his well-turned calf to his forehead.
Jesus.
He's flexible. He'll be fine. Maybe.
I didn't realize we run a show with Padan Fane.
Hey. You show me a barn door without a Murdral and I will fix your problem. With a Valen Luca. No, but so she's dealing with Elaine already, who she feels isn't being cautious enough, isn't being careful enough, is being a little too visible when they are literally trying to hide out and not be the center of attention. And then she's dealing with also worried about keeping the secret of Brigida once Brigida shows up. She's still focusing on like trying to be the treasurer of their little traveling troupe, and simultaneously going, we need to spend a little bit of money here and there, because she does, like, on rare occasion. I remember this one, like she splurges a bit on dresses for them once they're kind of stuck performing. And she's like, well, it would make us blend in as we're already performers. She's like pissed at Valen Luca and Tom because she's now like the like target for Tom's throwing knife act, or rather the target to be avoided. And I don't blame her for not liking people throwing sharp things at and around her face, because that sounds like at least number 7 in my top 10 not fun things to do. So she's dealing with all of that. And then when Valen Luca could not get any more insufferable, surprise, he does, and decides that he's got a crush on Nana, which very imaginative code name for yourself, Nynaeve, by the way. Not Nynaeve, right? Just Nana.
Hi, I'm Nana. Nana, Nana. Nana,
yeah.
Nana.
It reminds me very much of the movie Shang-Chi, where like partway through the movie, Shang like looks at his best friend and he's like, hey, my real name's not Sean. It's actually Shang. And she's like, you changed your name from Shang to Sean? You're a high mastermind, buddy.
It was a fantastic moment.
That was a good one.
He's like, thanks for that.
But so like, you find this like really weird, creepy style, Benny Hill style, like Scooby-Doo scene-esque thing with Nynaeve finding any reason to not be around Valen Luca, and Valen Luca finding any reason, and sometimes not even having a reason, to be around Nynaeve. and just like put his calves up somewhere like he's Captain Morgan and be like, "Oh, hello, Nana. You're looking mighty fetching tonight."
Yep.
And it just keeps going on and on and on. And it doesn't even stop until they get to what is it? Samara. And that's where the prophet of the dragon and his forces go into riots, right? And then so one member of
Well,
Valen Luca's circus, yeah, or riots against, is that when they're fighting against
so
the
it's the
children of the light?
children of the light and
Against the prophet.
the prophet's men are skirmishing, if you will.
Yeah. And then so like a member of their circus, like one gets caught and like flogged, and the other one's like been beheaded. And Valen's like, "We got to get out of here. Come with me, Nynaeve. I love you. Be my wife. I'll keep you safe." And she's like, "Fuck off."
And then he's
She's
like,
nicer, but she, to be fair, she is nicer than that. But essentially, it's like no, I'm not marrying you. We're gonna go our separate ways right now. And he's like, "I'll make sure you're safe." And she's just like,
I can do that
Yeah.
way better than you can. Have fun with that.
if you could like not try to make sure I'm safe, and if you could like go anywhere else, I'd appreciate that."
Well, I also love the other thing that I love is, she actually does consider it for a second. Because, like, while she's traveling with the circus, she's so fucking mad at Lan.
Oh,
There are, like, a number of times where she's like, this fool man and his dumb pursuits and is always trying to get himself killed shit.
he does have
I'm
a well-turned calf.
Yeah, well, and Nynaeve is just like, I'm really annoyed with the whole land thing. This Valen Luca guy is annoying, but at least he's here. And like, blah, blah, blah. And she like thinks about it for a second, and then she goes, nah,
you mean the
mind.
basis of accepting a proposal shouldn't just be if the person is there or not?
Yeah, no,
what
exactly.
a wild and novel idea,
right? She does come around to that particular idea.
Yeah, I personally am glad.
Yes.
And then he does this whole like, "Here's some flowers from my sleeve because the art of the performance." Yeah, I will always remember and love you. And then they part ways. I believe he does kind of help make sure that. Do they get on a ship to leave? Or is that just my default that every time somebody escapes from somewhere, they get on a ship and sail away?
And it has to be fucking Bail Doman's ship.
I mean, bro, that fucking happens a lot, all right?
Galad,
a lot of times everybody's trying to get away from somewhere. They just get on a ship and fucking go.
It's like Galad and I want to say Uno both find the same ship.
Yes.
Boat is correct. Is it Galad that helps him as well?
This is where Nynaeve meets up with Galad, says, "You got to promise to get us out of here." And Galad goes, "Yeah, I promise." And gets them on the ship just as everything's falling apart and the children of the light and the prophet's men are destroying the town that's next to where the circus is. And Valen Luca's like, time to fucking go. And they're like, "Yeah, we're not coming with you." And he's like, "But I love you." And she's like, "Yeah, but I don't at all. I'm going to go with this really ridiculously handsome guy in the white clothes." And then he basically runs them to a ship and gets them on.
Yeah. So even then, the story of
and you know who else is on this ship
is the story of Nynaeve and everybody else,
right? Fun story.
You know who else is on the ship?
Who else is on the ship?
Is it BD?
This is where she meets up with Magdan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's
or
true.
Moghedien.
That is true.
Moghedien.
So, fun story. Fun story. Always imagined Valen Luca as looking like the ringmaster from Dumbo, which I've just posted in the live chat. If you want to be in the live chat, you got to be a patron. Go to blacktowerpod.com. But I've always pictured him looking like that, right? But ever since The Greatest Showman came out, I can't not see Hugh Jackman as Valen Luca.
Well, and I mean, like, this guy from Dumbo does not really have a very well turned calf. Like, I think Valen Luca is a very attractive dude, like Hugh Jackman.
Well, it does say
Yeah.
that in the wiki. It does say, let's see, hold on, let me pull this up here. He is a tall, dark-haired
Mhm.
man, good-looking, with a well-turned leg, and he always wears a cloak, gaudy enough to shame a tinker. You know who else meets that description? Burt Reynolds. Burt
See that I could see.
motherfucking Reynolds.
That I could see. That I could live with.
Right? Hold up. Burt Reynolds. I'm gonna put a Burt Reynolds
But
gif in there.
I think Burt Reynolds though he might be
I
on
think he's a little old
the
at this
north
point.
side of the
Oh yeah,
kind of
we're
age
talking
range there.
80s Burt
Yeah,
Reynolds.
by a ways, yes.
Yeah.
In the
Like,
90s,
if he doesn't
got,
pull up in his freaking Trans Am, Trans Am, right?
in the 90s, he went
Firebird.
gray and became BL Striker. There he is, right there. There's Valen Luca from Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah. See, that scene always made me sad though, because like sipping on Budweiser, and that's just a mistake all around.
Bro, that was the standby in the 80s. That's what people did. You weren't alive, so you don't know.
Well, I was gonna say, to be
I was not
fair,
alive.
I feel like Budweiser in the 80s is not actually even comparable to Budweiser now. Because I don't ever think it was like really the king of beers, but like, Jesus Christ, beer in the 80s and the early 90s was definitely better than beer now.
Beer
Sorry,
before
than
flavor was an option.
commercial beer.
I will say this. It was not. What we have is a
Is a
Coca-Cola
failure to
and
communicate.
a Coca-Cola Classic situation. Okay? You had Coca-Cola originally. Then they changed the
Okay.
recipe and nobody liked it. So they went back to the original recipe and called it Coca-Cola Classic. And all of a sudden everybody was like, yay. Well, when it comes to like Budweiser and beer and things like that, in the 80s, you had maybe 3 choices when it came to beer. You had Budweiser, you had Coors, and Miller. Like, that was it. Like, congratulations. So, yeah, Budweiser was like the king of beers, but guess what? The playing field was like
the same company.
Now.
Yeah, they weren't originally.
Yeah.
And then what happens is
taste.
we get into
and that shit taste is no taste.
We get into the 2000s, we get into the late, the 2010s and stuff like that. And we start having an explosion of microbrews and independent brews and breweries. And they're like, you know what would be great? Not piss water for beer. And all of a sudden, Budweiser and all these other companies, they have to start competing. Well, they don't start competing by improving their recipe. They start competing by marketing harder.
So just FYI, there are so many more choices in the 80s than just the
How many
ones
of them are still around?
All 8?
Oh, all 8 of them?
That's more than twice the number you just gave. I feel like that's actually pretty significant.
It versus what we have now, Daniel. Don't look at the specific point to point. Look at the message. The message is, in the 80s, selection was shit. Now, selection is amazing. You go to the store
But
and
look at the facts. Look at the intent of the message.
Yeah.
You get what I meant.
Don't listen to what I'm saying. Feel what I'm telling you.
While technically false, it is still emotionally true.
God. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't get the exact number of 80s breweries correct. My point is, I will rephrase. let me, you know what? You are correct. Thank you for correcting me. I will walk that statement back and let me correct my statement. In the 80s, the selection was vastly smaller than it is today. So to say that Budweiser is the king of beers really just means they sold more beer than anybody else, which is not impressive at all because they were competing against tremendously smaller number of competitors.
I agree with that. But I
Slightly
also think
carbonated
that if
water
you
with
got
yellow
a
fruit on it.
can of Budweiser from the 80s, it would also be distinctly better than a Budweiser from now. I have done that experiment, and it's true.
Okay.
I have never felt any more immediately remorseful from trying to shotgun a beer, but when playing a game of Beerio Kart. Which, if you haven't ever played Beerio Kart, it is fantastically fun. It is a drinking game involving playing Mario Kart, where the rules expressly forbid you from drinking and driving, and you must finish your beverage before you finish your first lap, and then pick up another one. It is fantastic. However, should you invite somebody and they show up with a case of Budweiser for this endeavor of shenaniganry, immediately
They don't get to come
ask them
anymore.
politely yet firmly to leave. Because I have never felt more immediately ill to the stomach than when I chugged an entire can of Budweiser and then tried to finish a 1-lap race of Mario Kart. And I will never forgive that individual.
We used to play hardcore Super Smash.
Mhm.
Where it was basically the rules of Mario Kart, where like you would sit down and you would play a stock match of Super Smash Brothers with 3 lives, and every time you won a match, you would drink.
You
So
know,
that it got statistically less likely that you would win the next one, and especially when you're like rotating people in and out because they're coming in for the losers. That's very, very fun. Also, if somebody shows up with Budweiser for that, tell them that they can go home.
okay. Hear me out.
Okay.
I would rather slam a cheap beer than a craft beer.
Fair. I see where you're going with that. And it's
I
fair.
disagree.
However, there is this nice, fantastic middle ground where you reach the levels of beer with flavor for very reasonable prices. And I'm looking at Yingling
Yes.
expressly for this. Because
Ugh.
I will pay
Alright.
the extra like $8 for a 6-pack or whatever to get a good beer like Yingling to chug rather than
Did you just
paying
say a good beer like Yingling?
yes,
Yep.
because it is a
Yeah, he did.
fantastic beer. And anybody who doesn't agree is I hate
A
to
dark
tell you
friend?
this, just
I'm
wrong.
not disagreeing. It just is kind of funny.
I said good, not great.
That is true. That was the word you chose to use.
So, getting back on track. First off, I would say that Valen
I'm
Luca
enjoying
is the kind
this
of guy.
discussion on beer far more than a discussion on
Valen
Valen Luca. I'm
Luca's.
not gonna
Hold
lie.
on, I'm segueing in. Valen Luca's the kind of guy to bring Bud Light to the party, and he'd be like, "Here's a 34-pack of Bud Light," and then you'd be like, "Ah, dude, you're the man. Thanks so much for providing us with some party beers." And then he like pull out his own personal cooler with some like really good craft beer. And they'd be like, "Why aren't you drinking some of this?" He's like, "Oh, I don't drink that. No, I drink this. Like, let's look at this. Look at this fine IPA," because he also drinks IPAs.
That's why I don't like him very much.
That's why I don't like Andrew very much.
Whoa.
2 out of 3 of us can be
Jesus.
wrong.
Oh shit! Did I say that out loud? Valen Luca is the ringmaster. This is why I think of him as the ringmaster from Dumbo. But he was the ringmaster of the Valen Luca's Great Traveling Show. I think it's interesting that he has a Grolm. Right? No, he doesn't have a Grolm. He has a Shreddit, which is an elephant. But
a bull horse.
A bull horse. And
he actually has 3 Shreddit.
Yeah, and the lady who trains them is from Shanchan, right?
It's indeed.
So here's my question. Valen Luca,
no, not Shanchan. Is she
I
Shan-Chan?
thought she was Shan-Chan.
All
I
right,
thought she
keep
was-
going with your
Because
thought. I'll look it
Shreddit
up.
is from Shan-Chan.
Go for it. Keep talking.
Get your fingers on the keyboard for the Google.
Working on it.
No, so and when I'm wrong, you tell me I'm wrong. But no, she was a Shreddit trainer from Shan-Chan. She was not in the military. She was like of the common people, etc., etc. What I want to know, what did Valen Luca say to like convince her to travel with them? Because I think
Yes. So they
she is one of the ones that was left behind when the Forerunners are chased into the sea by the heroes of the Horn, right?
At Falma. Yes.
And on the note of the Shredded, they are from Shan-Chan. Val and Luca claimed that they were from Sara, which was wrong.
That's right.
And the trainer, Carandin, or Sarandin, Cerandin, is also Shan-Chan.
Yes, that's right.
Who also once served, as a handler in the Court of the Nine Moons.
Yeah, no, she was of the common people, but she was still like blessed of the common people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, because that was sort of the whole thing. Like Narcissist just said in the live chat, she loved the Shredded, and basically like after her kind of running away or whatever, or trying to get out of there. Because she was in Falma, and after they were displaced from Falma, he basically gave her a way to keep the Shredded, and be able to be with them while not also being like targeted by the Shan-Chan or something like that. So, and apparently on the mainland, Valen Luca decided to also name them boar horses.
Boar horses, not bull horses. Yeah. That's right.
Though bull isn't entirely wrong because there were three. The first one is mare, M-E-R, which was a bull. Sonnet, which is a cow or female, and then Naren, which was a newborn calf.
Correct.
So there was a bull horse, a cow horse, and a newborn calf horse. None of which were actually horses.
a bull boar horse, a cow boar horse, and a baby boar horse.
What about a boar horse and a boar boar?
A Bora Bora horse?
Bora Bora.
Boar.
Door.
Yeah. All right, so now let's go into sort of the second time that Valen Luca shows up, because again, his circus comes all the way back around, and saves other people from Shan-Chan as well.
Although he doesn't get as much patronage out of them. As in, these ones don't put on performances for him.
That is correct, but they give him a shitload more money. So
and they didn't just say it.
Kind of
they
pay
were
for
like,
the fact.
See this chest full of money?
Yeah.
It's yours. After we make it safely.
Yes. So this time he actually takes on Matrim and the kidnapped Tuon and Seleucia, and Egyanin and Baal Domin. And I think that's it. That's the only group that's with it. Oh, and Julian and...
No, he was talking to Eludra whenever they found... Okay, yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
He, as in Matt, was talking to Eludra.
Yes.
Sorry.
He meets her
and Julian
again.
and Amathera. Not Amalisa, Amathera. Who was
Amalisa
held...
was Daniel's MVP from the Season 1 Watt Fantasy League. Which, by the way, Season 2 Fantasy League coming up. Who will claim Daniel's crown? Also, I love that we're having teams, and that everybody in BTP is going to be on the same team. So we all wear the crown right now. Your victory was taken from you.
It
does
wasn't
Tom
taken
go with
from
them
me.
as well? Did you say Tom? Did Tom go with
Tom
them as
does
well?
not. Tom is not with them at that
point. Tom just helped them negotiate the passage.
Is Tom with them?
Unless this is a typo.
Because Tom and Julian are usually... Yeah.
Well, this is
Tom
and Beslin that are talking with Luca to like get a group to basically get them to carry a group. This is in Winter's Heart.
Yes, and Tom is actually with them. Beslin goes back to the city.
Oh
but
yeah.
Tom is with them.
Well,
Tom is with them.
yeah.
Is Oliver with them too?
Yes,
He would be by
Oliver
this point,
would
right?
be with them.
Yes, he is.
'Cause-
Because he's learning how to like throw
Oh.
knives, and he's learning, and he's flirting with all of the Rockettes.
Yep.
To
Yeah, they have a whole. They have
they
a
have
whole
they have a
retinue
trio
with
of
them.
Aes Sedai because there's this point in which they're fighting an advancing Shan-Chan army, and the Aes Sedai are like, "I'm sorry, I just don't feel like I'm threatened right now. I just can't do it. Sorry." And Matt is like, "We're in the middle of a battle," and then all of
Oh
a
yeah,
sudden,
because he carries their Aes Sedai that were made like Soldam or
yeah,
No,
Damane.
Damane.
and they're
Yes.
they're
And
mad
there was a
because they can't,
Soldam with him as well.
Damane.
they can't
Yeah.
do anything to him because he's got his fox head medallion at this time.
Yeah, but they did also take a Soldam with them because it's a Soldam that later tries to like get away and is
Yes.
caught. I can't remember her name. But this is where like Luca and his new boo thing meet with Tuon, and Tuon like reveals who she actually is.
Mm-hmm.
To the best of her knowledge, who she is, not who we as the readers know she is. Or did she find out who she actually is by this point? Does she know she's the Empress by Cross? And does she find
She
out
does not know
Crossroads of
she is
Twilight
the
or
Empress
before?
at this time. She thinks she is the child of the Empress or whatever, not the
Okay.
childlike Empress from Neverending Story, played by Tammy Stronach. She is just the child of the Empress, sent to the Westlands for two reasons. One, because hey, it's just convenient to have someone who's good over there, who can, who's capable and effective and can lead this thing correctly, and also it removes the most capable assassin. It was a calculated move by the Crystal Throne back in Shan-Chan.
So Rena and Maine is the name of the Suldam that they had with them.
Oh yeah,
Gotcha.
that's the Suldam that Nynaeve and Egwene collared. So Rena is the Suldam who collared Egwene originally, and was Egwene's main quote unquote trainer. It's disgusting to say that word, but I mean it is what it is. And then when they were escaping, they were going to put the collar on. Either Nynaeve or Elaine was going to wear the collar to get into the house, and then when they found out that the collar worked against Rena, they just used her as a Damane, and then left her in the Damane's quarters, chained to the wall. Still in the IDOM, so that she can't leave or tell anybody.
Wait, no, I was wrong about Aludra. I forgot that she is Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, she's a part of the circus.
Yeah, I completely forgot she was a part of the circus.
Oh, that's right.
Because
she's
when she's a
still
part
on
of the
the
circus
run as an illuminator. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's a part of the circus when Nynaeve and Elaine and everybody else flee Tanchico. And whenever Matt and Tuon and them wind up joining up, she winds up talking about Nynaeve and Elaine and them. And like eventually Matt and Aludra are like, talk about the fact that Matt knows them. He's like,
Yeah.
Yep.
oh, yeah. Pain in my ass.
Pain in my ass. I tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think actually I'm kind of seeing your point, Daniel. What you were trying to make earlier is that Valen Luca didn't make his mark on the story, because we've spent all this time kind of talking about him, and it's been like we're talking about the things that are happening around him. He's a vessel. He provided a means of transportation for people, and was a bit of a comic relief. Generally annoyed people.
Well, and let's be honest. Okay, the one thing that Valen Luca does is nothing. And that's really important because his whole role is discretion. His whole circus needs to work on being flashy and being important. But again, it's a little bit of that, like, Merry and Pippin, the closer we are to danger, the farther we are from harm kind of thing. Of, if you dress up these people, these Aes Sedai as parts of your circus, no one's going to think twice that these people are Aes Sedai, because no self-respecting Aes Sedai, or even accepted, would go ahead and join a circus and run around as performers. So they're in, like, one of the best hiding places they could be in. And as long as Valen Luca, who's the only person who knows their secret, doesn't say shit, then they're safe. Same thing with Matt and Tuon. They actually tell Valen Luca who they are right from the get-go. And they've got a different story that they tell everybody else in the circus, but they have to let Valen Luca know what's up. And Valen never spills the beans. He is a very discreet motherfucker.
Well,
that is the one nice thing about Valen Luca, is that he knows how to keep his mouth shut, which is ironic since he spends so much time with his mouth open.
Yeah. Well, she eventually gives him like a warrant or a writ, basically, from her by her name, to like use for the circus. That basically is like, in a last-ditch effort, he can present to any Seanchan that confront them, and they will let him pass. Like, they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, nope, we're not of the blood, or any blood or high blood, and don't want to lose all of our blood. We'll let you fucking go." And I think it might have even like promised payment from the Crystal Throne or something like that.
Yeah.
But
because there's a tax that's happening.
Yeah.
That's like what's happening is they come in and they tax you based on like how many livestock animals you have and like this, that, and the other thing. And so the writ basically says, do not tax them now, let them pass. The Crystal Throne will pay you for whatever tax it is, or like they're exempt from the Crystal Throne's taxes or whatever.
Which appealed to Valen Luca tremendously.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, he's a greedy fuck. That's really what Valen Luca is. At the end of the day, oh god,
all I heard was "oh god, my," and then
oh my, oh god, my.
Internet
oh god, we're all gonna die. Look, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna start the wrap up, and I'm gonna say that Valen Luca, like, I love him as a character. He's fun. He provides some pretty great humor. But the thing is that he's also not tremendously important to the story. And this conversation has kind of changed my mind because which I think is actually a great sort of allegory for him as a character in a whole, because on the whole, because he had me convinced he was more important than he was. I, as the reader, was convinced that more important than he actually was, and which is his entire shtick. Valen Luca's a smart motherfucker, though. I will stand by this. I will say this. I will die on this hill. And for those of you who tuned in to WatCon and saw the Best Beltane Ever panel, where I had to defend Valen Luca as a better Jeopardy person than Harry Dresden, I will die on this hill. Valen Luca would school Harry Dresden any day of the week. That's my final thoughts. I stand with Valen Luca.
Andrew?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, Valen Luca serves as a convenient plot device owner / boss. Because the menagerie, or the traveling circus, is a very convenient and admittedly like tropey sort of fantasy way to hide. And it's more tropey because there's all these stories of like runaway kids, especially in like, I don't know, like the old South in like the 50s and 60s or whatever, running away to join and become the quote unquote circus freaks. And they would travel town to town and kind of got a reputation like the Tinkers do in the books of, we don't we don't want them here.
We don't actually fucking steal your kids. They just come to us. Leave us alone.
They're overbearing parents, so they run away screaming. It's not our fault.
It's because you
When people join us for the way of the leaf, that's not on us. That's on you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would like to say that Valen Luca and his troop just happen to find themselves in good places twice. I think it's more apt to say that Robert Jordan writes them to just happen to be in good places twice, because we need a good mechanism to move them from place to place without having to do a bunch of the living in the woods, cloak and daggery style hiding and sleuthing around. Because there's other stuff that that Robert Jordan wanted the characters to experience and do and develop during that time, while still also having a relatively believable mechanism to travel without being noticed. Um, I I don't know how much I believe certain parts of it. Um, Depending on where they're traveling, I don't know how many people wouldn't earnestly recognize the surely sought after daughter heir by this point, or wouldn't recognize um, the missing daughter or now empress of the Shanshan Empire. But it's right on that kind of fence line of maybe not for me. I will say kudos though at one point for Valen Luca, because he does turn out to be an incredible orator, which goes with his profession. Because there's a point in Knife of Dreams where the entire menagerie is approaching a village, and as they're watching, the village takes a peddler with it as it sinks into the ground, and the entire group is like, "No, let's not go over there or by there or anywhere in that direction." And Valen Luca convinces the rest of them to still press on. It's like, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And then turns around and Matt finally causes enough of a pain in Valen Luca's well-turned ass cheeks that Valen Luca actually spends money to hasten getting rid of Matt and his company, and he buys them pack horses, much to Matt's delight. So he has his moments of, it's not really comedic relief for me, but it's like chuckly relief, if that. But more often than not, I mean, Valen Luca is unnecessary and annoying. I think that these groups moving could have been done either with a character that wasn't so egregiously annoying, or without having to do it with a menagerie or anything. But maybe that's part of the point, because there are plenty of characters that do far more, that is far more important, and I don't remember their names on a day-to-day basis, but I remember Valen Luca's name every single fucking day. So, fair point. Points to Robert Jordan. But yeah, that's it for me.
Andrew or Daniel, round us out, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said a lot of it. The one thing that I do appreciate is the consistency, that Valen Luca does actually feel like a real person. Almost every performer, like this type of deal where it's this large of a circus, needs to be held together by a big personality. Like, if you just have some kind of wet blanket walking around being like, I think we should start a circus, guys, like, it doesn't happen. It takes someone actually walking in and being like, all right, here's how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to make money. I'm going to be the star of the show, and y'all are going to back me up. Like, it takes that kind of personality to deal with this many personalities and put them all in line. But I really appreciate that he basically walks around the sort of like southwest edge of the map. And that's where we find him, like, every time. Nynaeve and Elaine run into him there and travel with him. And then he just, like, stays in Shanshan once the Shanshan come and, like, take over. Because he's like, I don't really love these taxes thing, but, like, everybody here can afford to go to the circus. So, like, I'm just going to stay around here because the Shanshan are actually really good to the people who are commoners. So there you go.
Stay here to avoid taxes.
right? And so I do like that he's like right there for Matt to jump in on. I almost wish that we had a Tinker's Circus conglomeration at some point, because again, they both have that like same. They both are that same trope. Elias, Perrin, and Egwene going with the traveling people is the same as Elaine and Nynaeve going with the circus, or Matt and Tuon going with the circus. And so, like, I feel like they would work together really well, but we never actually get that because, of course, I think that both groups would abhor the other. But,
Yep.
you know,
True.
whatever.
True.
But anyway, I think that Valen Luca is a very important character because he does set up this particular environment. I think Valen Luca himself is not really a very important character, but without him, without the character of Valen Luca, you don't get the circus. And without the circus, you don't get the environment in which Elaine and Nynaeve learn to like each other. And, you know, Birgitta is bonded, and Tom and Julian make this like super strong buddy cop like relationship that spans the entire rest of the books. You know, you don't give Matt and Tuon the opportunity to court each other and all of this different stuff. So I think that the circus is very necessary, and therefore Valen Luca, being the personality that he is necessary, even though he himself doesn't do shit.
Fair enough.
Everybody.
Well, for everyone else, let us know what you think in the comments below, or hop over to the Discord or wherever you would like to let us know. Twitter, email, whatever you want to do. Let us know. You can find all that information again at blacktowerpod.com, as well as information for the Gathering Madness for this year in 2023.
You won't leave a comment. Oh, look, I'm scared to leave a comment. That's you. I saw you.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But for all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, this has been this week's dose of your tainty madness goodness. And I hope you slurped it up deliciously and greedily and hungrily. And just imagine that as we say goodbye temporarily. For I have been your Bajan Mahil Andrew. Currently dying from laughter is a man known as your Soravan Mahil Josh.
And I have been your Amin Khan Mahale Daniel. And from all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, thank you again. Have a lovely morning. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I got him to laugh like Muttley. Great success.
Slurping it up greedily.
You've been having so much trouble just fitting